Hey guys, Phil here at Woods Tree Farm. I wanted to share with you today a few lessons learned about the firewood business from this year, my first year selling firewood. And the first is, and I've shared this a couple times in previous videos, if you've been kind of following this journey, you really just can't depend on other people for good quality firewood, I don't think. If you're trying to do this as a business and you're trying to sell firewood, trying to get inventory from other people to resell is just... it's probably going to be a challenge and maybe more headache than it's worth. So this over here that I'm stacking up is part of a 2-cord delivery that I got from somebody else that was supposed to be seasoned, and it's like not even close to seasoned. They said that these logs were down for 2 years. If they were down for 2 years, I think they were probably underwater. The bark's not peeling off, and the internal moisture on these things are like 50+%, 50, 55 on average. I had a few of them in the 40s, but not even close to being able to burn, which is my first lesson learned. I am not going to try to get cut, split, seasoned wood from anybody else unless I can tell that it's absolutely perfect. So that's lesson learned number one. A lot of this stuff is way too short. I can probably use it for some bundle wood next year. But on average, those pieces over there, you can tell since there's 3 stacks on one pallet, well less than 16 inches per stick. A lot of them are 12, 13 inches. Like I said, I can probably convert some of that into bundle wood, but most of that, you know, is just going to have to sit there and wait until next year, and we'll see what we can do with it. A lot of it also is just way too chunky for the people that I sell to, people that are doing fireplaces and fire pits in their backyard. Probably don't want big chunks like that unless they really get their fire going, and then they can put chunks like that on there. But most of the time you want smaller pieces, and then those big chunks just don't bundle well either. And considering most of the stuff's going to go to bundle wood, I can't do those big chunks. So I'm working on resplitting a little bit of that. I probably have 3 more truckloads. I have a small truck. It's Nissan Frontier. It's got a 5-foot bed on it. But I probably have 3 more truckloads of this stuff sitting in my driveway at home where it was delivered. I was hoping when that delivery came, I could just turn right around and resell it from my driveway. But since it's unseasoned, I can't let it sit there for a year or more. So I need to let it season out here. I got a new stack set up. I'm kind of up here right next to my shed. If you kind of know the layout of our property, our entrance is like right over there. We come in, we got our shed right there, the pond's down there in the background, and my other wood pile is just down there beyond the shed, but I'm kind of moving everything up here. And this was the area before Christmas season in the fall. There was like an old cattle pen up here, and we cleared all this out, and now this is going to become kind of my wood processing area, and I'm going to do a whole bunch of stacks right back here. That direction down there is south, so I'll have nice south-facing stacks here where there'll be plenty of wind, plenty of sun to help this wood season. So I'm going to work on resplitting some of this wood, and I'm going to share with you a few other lessons learned from this firewood selling season. Well, now that that's all split, it brings me to my first big point and lesson learned about doing firewood. Efficiency, and I could probably dedicate an entire video to efficiency, though I can't call myself an expert in it. You're going to save a lot of time the fewer times you have to touch the firewood. You've probably heard that before. This, as an example, even though I didn't have to fully process this wood myself, I'm still on my, 4th touch. I had to load this firewood up at my house. I had to unload it here. I had to kind of sort it, and half of it I had to split. That's 4, and I've got to restack it. I'm already on 5 touches, and I haven't made any money yet. I'll have a 6th or 7th touch to move this again, whether it's going into a bag for bundles, or whether it's going onto a stack to sell to a customer. So I'll be at 7 to 8 touches before I collect any money on this wood, and that's really inefficient. So ideally we want at least half of that as the total number of touches. So even though I'm buying wood from somebody else, it's not really saving me much time, especially if I have to sort through it and sort it by size, and I have to resplit some of it and all that. So that's kind of one of the things that I've learned, is that you don't gain that much by reselling firewood. The only big thing that it's really gotten me is increased inventory, though This here I can't sell until next year, but I've gotten several other truckloads that I've been able to turn right around and resell. But even that stuff, I still had to sort through it. Some of it had to be resplit, some of it had to be cut down because it was too long, and all of that. So there are definitely multiple touches involved in just reselling wood as well. On the topic of efficiency, there are several other things I could go into as kind of lessons learned. The first is really just a big obvious one, and that's watch your equipment. So for example, I have several videos where you guys have called me out for having a dull chain on my chainsaw. And you know, it's just one of those things, being kind of a rookie at some of this kind of stuff. I just didn't really know what to look for and how to tell if the chain was dull or not. I'm a lot more in tune with that now, and pretty much every couple uses I'll go back over the chain and make sure it's in good shape, and that creates a huge efficiency gain when you're out processing logs into rounds for firewood, or if you're taking down a tree. So just watch your equipment, and that same thing goes for your log splitter or any other equipment that you're using. Keep up with the maintenance and make sure it's running the way that it's supposed to run, and you're going to end up being a lot more efficient processing firewood. I've got a few thoughts on pricing that I wanted to share with you, and it has been fascinating to me to see how prices vary across the country. Many of you have shared what firewood goes for in your neck of the woods, and here, even in kind of a localized market, the prices do vary quite a bit, especially between the country and the suburbs. I sell almost all of my wood in the suburbs. I've shared this plenty of times on previous videos, and by doing small stacks and bundles, we can get a premium, and my average per cord comes out to close to $600 on average, depending on how much I sell in bundles versus in the small stacks. So some of you guys have commented like I'm pulling something over on people, or you know, I'm overcharging people for firewood. But if you compare it to what most people are buying out there, they're going to the grocery store, they're going to the convenience store, they're going to the big box home improvement store, and they're paying at least $6 or $7 per bundle. Lowe's this year near us was actually $7.48 per bundle, and their bundles are smaller than mine. So compared to what others are used to paying in the marketplace, I'm actually doing a really good value, and I'm giving these people a service by bringing the wood to their house. There's no way at all I could get away with doing firewood, even though I really, really enjoy it. There's no way at all I could convince myself or convince my wife that doing firewood is worth it unless I was selling it for a premium price and selling it in the suburbs. So there's just too many other things that I can do with my time that are more valuable than trying to sell wood for $200 a cord. And that flows right into my next point, and that is the quality of your product and the quality of service. Yes, you can get away with charging more if you've got a good quality product and good quality service. Because we have a real business with a, you know, there's a business name, there's a business license, there's a sign at the entrance of our property, we've got a website and a Facebook page, there's more accountability for us to deliver on what we're selling, versus some random guy with a sign in his yard or some random guy with an ad on Craigslist. We have a lot more accountability to us to live up to what we're saying we're selling. So because of that, I am focused on delivering a premium product, and I am charging a premium price accordingly. But I'm trying to deliver on the experience at the same time, which goes into, you know, we've got a website, people can order right through our website. It's a streamlined, easy, frictionless process. I don't try to tell people like, oh, we're cash only. And, you know, some people run their business like that, but I don't. And I want people to have a really smooth, simple, and easy transaction. I shared in a previous video that my effective hourly rate in doing all this firewood work came out on a recent order that I really closely evaluated, close to $40 an hour. And there were a couple things that I left out on that. So for example, I didn't have the cost of my firewood bags in there for the bundles. So maybe a little bit less, maybe in the mid to high 30s is where it actually came out to on that order. But that was also firewood that I purchased. I purchased the blocks from someone else. And we could be as high as $20 an hour more than that. I could be in the upper 50s, mid to upper $50 per hour if I'm doing all of the wood myself and I'm taking the wood off of my own property here. So the point there is, I think in order to evaluate whether this is really worth it or not, I need to, and you should too, my recommendation for you should be to evaluate your time and your costs really closely to try to figure out if it's worth it. I think for a lot of you guys who are out there doing firewood for, you know, $150 or $200 a cord, I really don't see how you're coming out ahead once you factor in, you know, your vehicle maintenance and fuel costs and equipment maintenance, and then on top of your time and kind of the opportunity cost for what else you could be doing with your time. It's you know, it's really difficult, especially difficult for me, to figure out if that's worth it or not. But going forward, I'm going to pay a lot more attention to all of the costs and all of the time, because there are plenty of other things that I could be doing here on my own property in order to generate revenue, and I've got to think about how much of my available time do I want to invest in this firewood business. There's obviously quite a few things that I could do to improve my efficiency. I've already shared a little bit about you know, the number of times you touch the wood between when you take down a tree and when it gets to the customer, that being one of those things. But there are other things as well. For example, I could be looking at storing my wood in totes rather than stacking it, save a lot of time between stacking and unstacking the wood that way. I could get a faster saw. I just have like consumer grade saws right now. So a faster saw, I could get a faster splitter or a bigger splitter that has a 4-way or a 6-way wedge, and I can process a lot of wood more quickly. All of those things are kind of on the table for the expansion of this firewood business, but keep in mind, I'm just in my first year, and I am not trying to go out and spend $10,000 or $15,000 on a piece of processing equipment that is going to dramatically increase my efficiency. I have a consumer grade splitter that I purchased secondhand for $750. It has more than paid for itself, and as far as consumer grade splitters go, it's actually one of the faster ones. There are many out there that have cycle times in the teens of seconds, and this one can do it as quick as 9 seconds. So it's kind of doing the job right now. But the other day, I shared this in the previous video where I talked about how much I make per hour. It took me almost 2 hours to process a load of a third of a cord of firewood for the orders that I had to put out there, and that was just for the volume of wood and the amount of time I spent. Way too much time. Even if I continue to use the exact same equipment I have now, one of the big time wasters I realized as I evaluated that last order was the size of the firewood. I'm sitting on a round right now that's actually like 24 inches around, and those big pieces, while they yield a huge amount of firewood, are really difficult to process, especially with the equipment that I have. So having much smaller rounds that are in the 12 to 16 inch range that are a lot easier to handle is what I'm going to focus on going forward, because I'm going to be able to split all that a heck of a lot faster. I can move those pieces by hand, which is going to be a lot easier on my body, but it's also going to bring efficiency to the process as well. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. That's a signal to YouTube that obviously you enjoyed this video, but they're going to be more likely to share this video with other people who like similar kinds of content. So thanks again for that. If you want to subscribe, please do so. We've got a 43-acre Christmas tree farm, and we share lots of things that we do out here on our property, including firewood. Firewood's a growing piece of what we do around here. But if that sounds interesting to you, all the stuff that we do on our property, tractors, chainsaws, property maintenance, Christmas trees, and other stuff, hit that subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Bye-bye.